$9,463 million. That's how much Russia earned from natural gas exports in January 2022. According to the country's Federal Customs Service, this is an absolute record. For example, in the same period last year, Russia earned $3,393 million. Why, despite the war, European countries are increasingly hooked on the gas needle of the aggressor country? And is there any hope of recovery from addiction? Let's find out.
We have no problem paying for gas in rubles. If Russia asks for this, we will pay in rubles.
Europe began to receive the first gas doses a long time ago. During the years of war in 1944, the former Soviet Union supplied the first cubic meters of gas to Poland. In the 1960s, Czechoslovakia, Austria, and divided Germany were involved in the consumption. In the late 1970s, Bulgaria, Finland, France, Hungary, and other European countries joined the club of addicts. The dependence became one of the factors of the war in Ukraine.
The Energy Corporation has now also created dependencies in Germany from Russia that is inhibiting the current foreign policies of countries like Germany and is actually creating an absurd situation in which Western countries like Germany are de facto financially supporting the Russian attack on Ukraine. And this is not only sad for Ukraine, but this attack, this large war with Russia, is partly co-financed by income from Russian energy trade with countries like Germany. It has also created security risks for Germany itself. So this is actually a disastrous geoeconomic policy of the last 30 years that has created instability all over Europe and was also one of the factors for the war of Russia against Ukraine.
Russia has invested billions to strengthen Europe's dependence. Billions of dollars in thousands of kilometers of pipelines carrying oil and gas doses to industrial European hearts. Now, when it comes to giving up energy from Russia, Europe is not ready. The altered consciousness of Europeans, irritability about the situation, Russian pipelines, like traces of injections, degradation of perception, the maximum of symptoms that indicate the total dependence of Europe on the aggressor country. Addicts do everything to prolong the energy buzz.
And our industry is so much dependent on the Russian gas, so we have no opportunity, no choice.
Some countries, like ordinary drug addicts, simply deny their dependence. Others are angry at Ukraine, which they see as the root cause of having to deny themselves. Some are simply afraid because they are not ready to oppose Russia without strong armies or something. In general, we can see different stages of the disease.
Addiction is not cured by love, sacrifice, or compromise. Therefore, it should be a tough, open, direct discussion with the patient, in which the patient receives all the necessary information and tools to recover. But whether the patient will act or not depends on the patient. It is their responsibility. Yes, you can create the circumstances that help them, but this cannot be done for the patient.
How quickly will Europe recover from energy intoxication? How long will it take to realize that this dependence not only destroys everything within European countries, but also destroys hundreds of Ukrainian lives every day? Experts believe that there is hope for recovery.
After the Russian attack on Ukraine on 24th of February, the German discourse about Eastern Europe started to change. And it's changing quite deeply. The pro-Russian voices have been significantly reduced. We can still hear some pro-Russian voices from the far right, from the Alternative for Germany party, and also to some degree from the far left, the party Der Linke, but the German mainstream and also most German politicians and intellectuals have now taken a more critical view towards Russia, a far more critical view towards Russia, and there's also a lot of sympathy for Ukraine. So I actually think that the change is deep. I'm quite optimistic, the problem being that Germany is not yet ready for this sort of geopolitical confrontation. It is not a country that has a strong army and a decree of a foreign policy doctrine. It is to adapt this new phase in European history. But I'm actually optimistic that Germany, as time goes on, will adapt and it will become a good partner for Ukraine.